County. You already know who it is. It's Madison J. It's Wake County's finest. North Carolina's king of the state. Listen, I'm tapped in, I'm tuned in, I'm locked in, and I'm loaded. No fluff TV. By now you should know my name. You should do the same, man.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Shame Gang checking in live, tapping in. Y'all already know what the deal is. Go get that No Safe Haven. There's no cap no more. Right here is No Fluff on No Fluff TV. You already know the deal.
Speaking on the 919, your career to the side. Cackalacky style. Cackalacky style. Cackalacky style.
What up, y'all? Welcome to No Fluff TV. We're back for the second time, part 2, with Mr. Jeremiah Bligen. So man, thank you, man. You know, for making this happen again. I appreciate you. Did I do pretty good with the clip I sent you, or I should have went a little bit more saucy?
Yeah, no, everything looked good, man. I appreciate it. Thankful to be back for part 2, man. I'm excited about it. I thought the first go round turned out pretty well. We had a good conversation, you know, so just looking forward to another good conversation, bro. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good. So, you know, kind of where I wanted to go on this part 2 was like more into, you know, you getting into, you know, your rapping. Like you said, you weren't doing any mixtapes or anything because at first you were more like nah, I don't think I don't need to do this rap thing no more. Now I need to leave this alone. So what transitioned you into, hey man, let me just rap my life, my experiences, and you know, and everything that comes along with it?
Yeah, I mean, and so really music is such a big thing for me. Like even like when I put it down and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. What I meant by not doing it is that I wouldn't practice, you know, in terms of like writing, recording, and trying to release anything. But it's such a major part of who I am. I create without trying to. So it always was in there. The wheels was always still turning, you know, in that short period of time. And so once I kind of grasped onto the fact that, hey, this is not wrong. It's nothing wrong with this, you know, as a person of faith, continue to do that. Just be honest, right? You know, maintain your character as a believer inside of this space in using your gift. And so once kind of, you know, I was okay with that, and I understood that God didn't require me to like kill this part of myself. Because as believers, you know, when you come to faith, there are certain things that are inherent to who you've been that are wrong, that you do need to die to, that you do need to say, no, I'm not going to do it this way anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. But once I gripped the fact and it was confirmed for me that this wasn't one of those things, it was pretty easy. It was just a fact of, okay, resume, you know, because at the time I was always producing, you know, tracks for myself. I was always looking for a mic to set up in the living room. My sister had a computer, so it was really easy to just get the right software and reconnect and start working again. And so it was really a few years of me just writing stuff, creating songs. I would, you know, minister them at my church. You know, at some local churches would invite me to come out. I joined a group, where I started a group with a couple of guys locally in Virginia, the Hampton Roads area. And we did music together, fellowship together, put on a couple of shows. And so it was just a matter of just picking back up, you know what I mean? And just jumping right on in. And the content was easy because I was learning a lot, you know, I was learning a lot. I was being introspective about myself and about who I've been and where I've come from, you know, where I want to go to. And so it's easy to put those things down, you know. So it's really just a matter of doing it at that point. I didn't really try to release anything large scale because around this time is when like MySpace and stuff is really starting to kick off. So it wasn't really about like me putting together tapes to put out for myself to get out to the world. It was just more so me putting together songs that I felt represented who I was, the faith that I have, serving my local community, directly at my church and in other churches. And then when I got into a group, we decided to like put stuff on MySpace. You know what I mean? But it wasn't a thing like, oh yeah, we're gonna try to get on iTunes or whatever. The beginning of iTunes and all of that stuff was at the time.
Right.
And so that's really what it was. And then as things progressed and I moved from Virginia and the group that I was in ended, you know, I continued to just create. You know, once I moved to North Carolina, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep making music. That's what I do. And so I started putting together a little EP called the Forerunner EP. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to release this, submit it to websites. And so I started creating that project. And before what would become the Before I Wait, which was more of a free album / mixtape. And so I just started creating those things, you know, started creating those things and working on them by myself. You know, once I got a job, I had a little period of unemployment. But once I was just working on music and running out in the heat of the summer in hot suit, just trying to submit resumes, you know. But I would come home and write and record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Produce, write, and record. And then when I did started working again, I would come home during lunch because I lived close to where I work. So if I had an hour, I'd get on the road for 10 minutes. I record during my lunch break, get back in the whip and go back to work with 10 minutes to spare. And so I just did that a lot, just trying to get it done because I was just that passionate, you know, about working the music. And it wasn't about like trying to get on into anything or, you know, being a Christian rap star or even being a Christian anything or a rapper, anything. It was just more so I love to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I have to create these songs because I feel so strongly about this music, you know, and what God's put in me, you know. So it was out of that. Like I wasn't looking for my music to pay any of my bills. You know what I'm saying? Like I never associated my music's value, you know, with its ability to generate income.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was more so this is valuable. It's valuable because God gave it to me. And if he gave it to me, then I'm accountable to do something with it. You know, and the first step of doing something with it is practicing it and execution. And so it was more so just that, you know. So I began to just form more relationships, you know, as virtual kind of and social media, you know, virtual community starts spreading, you know, with Facebook and, you know, different group chats and all of these different things start to pick up, you know, in the 2010s, really. You start building out those relationships with people across state lines and across the country. And so that's when I start meeting people like a D-Mob. I start meeting people like Eshawn Burgundy. It's all virtual. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not meeting any of these people in person at first, you know, it's all just digital. And back then we had a website called thesouth.com and they really focused on just Christian hip hop, really. And so I would tap into that and learn about other people that are doing that was doing the same thing. And I already knew, you know, about a certain sect of people like your cross movements, you know, the Truths, your Lecrae's, your Flames, R. Swift, that whole pocket, you know, of musicians. Your Jafia Lives was active during that time as well, heavy. And so just different Christian artists that was out there and they had, you know, they varied. People like Fizzle, like they all had different, you know, avenues and ways they presented, but I interacted with their content. But the South.com gave me kind of a way to discover people who weren't as known, people like me, you know what I'm saying, who was just trying to get their stuff out there, you know what I mean, and get people to listen to it. And so tapping in with a lot of new people, man, and building those relationships, you know, just over time, and you start to build those working relationships as creatives as well. And so really that's kind of really the start for me. So I put out my EP, Forerunner, submitted it to actually to thesouth.com. And that was kind of the first time I put something like out there.
Okay. And what was the response?
I mean, it was better than I thought. It was more than I'd ever had. You know, coming from, you know, a couple like 50 people, you know, you giving your CDs out to at church and stuff. They listen to you, you know, rock out with you on a couple of youth events and stuff, to a few hundred people, you know, about 1,000 people or so downloaded the tape from, you know, Rapzilla or something like that. I'm like, this is awesome.
Right.
I mean, that's more people than I ever had listening to my stuff before.
Yeah.
So I was excited to be able to do it and to start it and to have anybody paying attention to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because just because you're good at something, it doesn't give you you're not entitled to somebody's ear just because you're good at something.
Right.
People don't have to listen to you. They don't have to like what you put together. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But it's about the people that do. And so I was thankful to have, anybody choose to rock out with me. So it was exciting, man. It was just a start. And I was like, I'm gonna keep on doing it for
Right.
as long as I can, bro. And that's really what it's been.
Yeah. What programs were you using? Are you using GarageBand or what?
I was actually, from a production perspective, I was using Fruity Loops. I started using Fruity Loops back when they dropped the demo in high school, and somebody found a way to download.
2001.
Yeah, they started downloading. They found a way to download that joint in a high school computer, and so we would all kind of be in the computer lab messing around with it. And so, because then before then it was just beat machines. Like you had a little rectangle. Like we didn't have like an MPC or nothing like that. We didn't have a lot of money, right? So somebody in the hood got the little beat machine. So we all would take turns making beats on the beat machine. And then when Fruity Loops dropped, that's kind of how we got introduced to the digital sides of things that wasn't centered around recording. You know what I mean? Because of course they had already been things out there like Acid, which is Sony stuff. You're talking about Cakewalk, Sonar, just a lot of different resources out there to use to record. But from a production standpoint, it was Fruity Loops that kind of really grabbed us. It was very, the GUI was really easy to understand, user friendly. So we jumped in, and so I kind of just took that along with me.
Okay.
And so that's what I was using to produce a lot early on. And I would use Magic's Music Studio and later Samplitude, which is not a big popular one here. Like a lot of people, don't really know about that joint, but I was using that primarily for a long time.
Wow.
Until I got some money to save up for Pro Tools. You know what I'm saying? So then I started using Pro Tools. And then after a while, it transitioned to Logic once I started using Max and stuff.
Right.
And that's what I use still now to this day. Is Logic. And so it's been a full gambit. So I know how to talk Pro Tools. I know how to deal with Logic.
Yeah.
I dabbled in Sonar a little bit, but I didn't. I was like, nah, this is not really that different from what I'm using. Magic's, and I know how to use it, so I'm gonna just stick with what I know. But that was it. I tried out Reason for a little while too, but again, it's just one of those things where it's essentially getting you to the same place.
Right.
So it's more so about what you're comfortable with and how can you be most efficient and effective. You know what I'm saying? And so Fruity Loops just always kind of stuck with me, and I stuck with it. I stuck with it because of it. And now that I'm producing more now, because I kind of stopped doing tracks from the bottom up for a while just to focus on post-production, and executive production of other artists. But whenever I go to start to produce a song, I just do it in Logic now, but I'll still go back to Fruity Loops for different things, occasionally as well. So full gambit there, man. But at that time, Magic's Music Studio.
Yeah. Do you think technology is ruining music, or even as far as even ruining our lives?
No, I think that we are the source of all negative things that happen to us. Not the things we create, us. Because if you remove the technology or you remove like the internet, right? We will just replace that with some other thing to do crappy stuff with. We are the source and the problem of it, And so for everything that we create that we lament over, well, most things, not everything, but most things, I believe, like there's a good part of it. Like I'm doing this interview with you right now because of the internet and technology.
Right.
And without it, we wouldn't be doing this, right? Like you heard of my music because of the internet and technology. I built so many relationships just because of the internet and technology. And that's not to say I wouldn't have built some relationships locally, because I have those too, the in-person physical relationships. but it's been such a benefit, to my life. I think that it's just a matter of what you choose, to do with it, and so I think that on one hand, the barrier of entry is not really there anymore when it comes to music, and that's due to technology, and that can be a good thing for the people who want to get their stuff out there and be heard. And I mean, it can also be a bad thing just based on how you view music. You may think that, oh, more trash is out there now, whether you think trash sonically or you think trash in content, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? That's just in the eye of the beholder. But I don't think technology is the source of that. I think that it's been a good tool, for as much as I've used it as a good tool, and a
Right.
bad tool for as much as I've used it as a bad tool. You know.
Yeah. 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 So that, I guess that translates over to the use of hip hop, who the user is, and it's the person that you're consuming from, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I hear you talk about the relationships that that you've made online and everything. So, like, who caused the fallout with you in this infantry
Mhm.
conglomerate? Like, what made
I
it
would.
fall apart?
Yeah, I think I would characterize it more of just an ending, man.
Mm,
Not necessarily a falling out. I think that some relationships run its course. Some of them endure for a season. Some of them endure for longer seasons. And occasionally you'll find relationships that last a lifetime, but those are very few and far in between, and that's okay. And that's okay.
mm,
But sometimes it's just a matter of a season expiring on something, and you may not have expected that season to end when it did, but they all come to an end,
mm,
and it's not sometimes it's painful, and it's hard sometimes to see those things, especially when you're loyal to something, or you love something, you have passion for something, and you want to dive into it and really,
right.
serve others and do things with it, but you have to take a step back, you know what I mean, and size yourself up, size a thing up, and size up what you're doing to see if that's something that should continue, or if you're at the end of its life. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and it's really no different than actual life, with people. Like
Mm,
sometimes you see the writing on the wall and you struggle to accept it. So you'll hold on to things a little longer. Sometimes people see and acknowledge things quicker. And so they see and move quicker, and they respond to it differently because of that. And so it was just a matter of that, man. Like it was just time. Brothers was going in different directions. And it was just a matter of saying, okay, that's it. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like we may have had vision and thoughts and wanted things to go, and do all of these different things, but that may not have been in the cards for this specific thing. But that doesn't mean that because something stops, that you stop, you know. It
mm,
doesn't mean that you stop. It doesn't mean that you don't still cultivate the relationships that are there to be cultivated. It doesn't mean that you don't continue to serve God through the gifts and the things that you felt called to do, even while a part of something. And so I think that it's just a matter of timing. It's just a matter of timing and seasons expiring, and
right.
and acknowledging that, accepting that, and being okay with it, and getting okay with it if you weren't.
Right.
And then
Um,
praising God for it and moving on.
is that like is that something that may happen naturally, or is it just someone deciding that this is over? So, like, what I mean, for an example, right? Like, I look at the people that have been in my life, and the only reason they're out of my life, in a sense, is because they don't want to be in my life.
Hmm.
Meaning, like, I want to continue this relationship, but whatever it is with you, you're saying, no,
Hmm.
I'm good. So, is that like what happened, or is it just like people just deciding like, all right, I don't want to go this direction, but we're still cool. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think that it's a little bit of both, honestly.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both because even no matter what the relationship is, the closeness of a relationship is always based on somebody wanting or not wanting to, even when that is not as clear or as direct as you would think, as you just said. You
Right.
know, like even like we hear it all the time, like distance or space, you grow apart. All of these different terminology that we use, but ultimately it boils down to somebody's choosing somewhere. You know what I mean? To put some type of distance, and sometimes you're the person that's doing that. Sometimes you're the person that's causing it, even if you're not doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
With like who you are may now create that distance
Right.
and require that separation for us. It may not be something you want necessarily, but it just means like you're different people. You know what I'm saying? And some other times it's just a matter of like, nah, you just, relationships just end, and you can't be what you were before. So I think it's a little bit of everything, all of that mixed up into a ball. And that's why, the writing kind of becomes on the wall and you can tell like, okay, it's just time with certain things. And when you're talking about a group of 9, 10 people,
Wow.
you're talking about a lot of relationships. You're talking about a lot of personalities, a lot of perspective.
I didn't know it was that many.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who were the 10 people?
Yeah. So it was Eshawn, it was myself. It was my brother 3 from out in Chicago. It was my brother Jacob Bosser from New York City, my brother Reflect from New York City, for the engineering, mixing and mastering side. It was Brian
Right.
Kidd from out in Raleigh. It was my man Tone Spain.
Wow.
It was a guy named Church B from out there in Pittsburgh. It was for a period of time. I met Chris Neek Smith. Chris is from New York City as well. Not Reflect. Neek Smith is from Jacksonville. Well, he's in Jacksonville.
Okay.
But he's from Carolina. Jay Johnson was out in Philly as well. And
Yeah.
so
What happened? I'm like, and now I remember now.
Yeah. So
He
yeah,
was
it was a lot
the
of
one that kind of flew off first, and I was like, where did he go?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just one of those things,
Wow.
it's just timing, man. And when you have men that are growing, that are changing, you go through different seasons as men. And when you have to give people the space to do that, and not demonize people, but listen to people, seek to understand one another and to be charitable and gracious to each other as you go through those things. But while also acknowledging everybody's right to, tap out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's okay. And move on accordingly, And so it was a large group of us, and I'm thankful for the time that we did have, that we were able to build and be with one another, and serve together and rock out together, and hop on the line and challenge each other theologically, or in our personal walks and share things with one another and really build that community. I'm thankful for that time, while also understanding and acknowledging that things sunset and you move accordingly. So
yeah. Were you sad? Were you sad when this came to an end, though?
Man, let me tell. Of course, whenever you care about something, like when you really care about something, and not just care like with your mouth, but with your behavior, with your action, with your work, So in totality, you know what I mean. You care. When something ends and dies, it always hurts. It's no different than anybody else with anything that you're a part of, that you're working on. Like for example, with No Fluff TV, bro, like you're putting in your sweat equity. You're doing this because you have a passion for this thing. You know what I mean? And there's a reason why you're doing it. And so if all of a sudden you have to stop doing it, it will hurt you, because when you care about something enough to be online at this time of day on the weekend, when you have a family, that means you care about it. You know what I'm saying? And so whenever that thing ends, there's going to be pain associated with it. That's the natural thing that develops as a result to end,
Right.
to something ending and dying off. Um, and that's okay, and that's
Right.
okay. It's just a matter of taking your time, not feeling pressed to have to make some big, deep, grandiose statement about it, not rewriting history and demonizing things and people and trying to mischaracterize anybody, but acknowledging things for what they were, the good things, learn from what you need to learn from, accept it, and then move forward.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
but a part of that is acknowledging that, oh yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of pain, as
Yeah.
you should, for something
Right.
that you were a part of for a decade, literally. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
So one more about this subject. Just one more.
Yeah.
Do like do you feel like a lot um of the Christian artists and that community turned their back on Ishan by his renewed or revisited
Mhm.
beliefs?
Yeah, I don't it's hard to say. I think that there are people who did and there are people who didn't. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Just as sure as if, I make some statement tomorrow, like I'm coming out with a new single soon, right? And it may say some things or make people feel a certain kind of way. And they may choose to tap out. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? Because of that. But there'll be people who have been rocking with me. You may say, oh man, I've been listening to your music for 5 years and I love this. And you may keep rocking on. You
right.
know what I'm saying? It's really not that different. It's really not that different. And you're gonna find, but as a whole, I would be cautious to say things as a whole, you know,
Okay.
or like speak in generalities, like in a like general bunching of people.
Right.
And I try to keep that as a principle for me with all things, you know what I mean? Not just with
Right.
this answers to your question, but for
Right.
things for myself, to make sure that, hey, when you start to say everybody, when you
Yeah.
start to say,
And what
all
I'm
reason,
and what I mean, everybody, man, I'm just like I've seen just like different shots taken by
mhm,
the top, the top tier
yeah,
artists, like little shots, and I was like, man, like, it's not as bad as, Nicki and
mhm,
Lotto, but
yeah,
it's it's still like y'all know who y'all are, and
mhm,
you're trying to you're doing this little slick talk, you know
mhm.
what I mean? And it's just
Yeah,
weird, man.
yeah,
I'm just
people.
surprised. I was just surprised.
Yeah, I'm not, and not that I've heard a whole lot of things because I
Right.
haven't, but I'm not surprised by that though.
Yeah.
I think that as long as people are people, you're gonna
Yeah.
have you're gonna have that happen.
Yeah.
Like it could be something like that, or it could be something whatever, like music quality, or they're getting up little pockets and talk about people, or it's not, it's people, man.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And I would hope, and I try and strive to, not be a part of that, specifically, but it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. I always try to make it a point of, like, whenever I'm online or I'm, picking up my pen or doing anything with my music, that I don't seek to, tear down people, with what I'm doing, or make
Yeah.
assumptions about people that I can pick up the phone and call and talk to about things.
Right.
I don't make assumptions where I can get an understanding.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
That's
and
good.
if I don't feel strongly enough about it to pick up the phone and get an understanding, then I shouldn't feel strongly enough about it to open my mouth and talk
Mm.
about it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so therefore, I try to live life that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
While being imperfect me, and falling short like we all do, I try to live by those things, those tenets, and keep that at the forefront of my mind. And so I
Mm.
hope that, even as a community, of believers and people of faith in music, that we grow into that, we mature into that. And when people can talk and, have conversations, they do. while also understanding that everything ain't about having a conversation, right? Like sometimes, like if you hop online tomorrow and say some public stuff, then people gonna hop online and say a bunch of public stuff back to you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a part of it, and I get that too. You know what I mean? So saying all of that, knowing those things, I think that we all want to, and I hope we all would endeavor to represent the Lord the right way, even in these public spaces.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Privately and publicly. So yeah, man.
Right. So, I know maybe transitioning from, someone that transition or to kind of change their approach to their belief,
Mhm.
or what about someone who says, well, all right, I'm done. I'm a person like John Gibbs.
Mhm.
Is he was on the CHH side, but he also was edgy. And
Yeah.
now it's like, all right, I'm totally done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Jay Gibbons is like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
forget it. Like, what are your thoughts? What do you feel about, those type of people who say, I was with Christ, and now I'm done with y'all.
Yeah, yeah. I think that my immediate response is always a little bit of grief. That whenever people profess faith and they're so much so that they're a part of a community that stands or represents that faith. And you hear it in their testimony, a belief, and in their lives, even you can see certain fruit of belief. And whenever people make that decision to kind of walk away and step back, there's a grief, because I think God's grieved by that. But he's not surprised by it. And so I'm not surprised by it either. And so I'm not surprised by it, though I am grieved by it. And so I pray for their restoration. I pray for God to meet them, you know what I'm saying, wherever they are, and that he answers the matters of their soul, just as I pray that he answers the matters of mine. When I wrestle with doubt, when I struggle with pain, and I struggle with disbelief, that I pray for his mercy over my own self. You know what I mean? And so I have that same posture towards them, while also understanding, like, hey, there's also thousands of people that paid attention to you, and they subscribe to you on the basis of this belief.
Right.
So those people are going to want to hold you accountable. Like, oh, okay, are you being clear? Like, oh, why? Like that's going to come a part of it too, because you establish relationships with people based on that thing,
Yeah.
And so I see those things happening and I understand them. But for me, with them, and I don't know any of those brothers, like those brothers, for example, I don't know them. But whenever that type of thing happens, it's just more so you're like, man, Lord, like, have mercy on us all, because I know that I have moments of doubt, just like Thomas did, moments of unbelief like Peter did, and moments where I wrestle through what I really already know. My circumstance may make me question those things, just like John the Baptist. You know what I mean? Like, and so I had those moments too, and I pray for mercy for us, because we all need it. And God has been everything that I've ever needed in my life. He's been a father to me. He's been a provider and a resource in every way. He's provided relationships. He's provided, ways out of no way, whether it comes to finances. He's matured me, like his principles, reading and studying his word made me into a man, that could be respected in my home, a leader in my home first, and then with those that I build and remain in community with. Like that's on him. That's a direct result of me being in communion with the Father. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing you can do or say that's going to make me back off of that. You know what I mean? If there's any kind of disbelief or disconnection there, it's going to be on the basis of me and him, and me having a problem with him. You know what I'm saying? And so somewhere within the people that walk away, there's a disconnect with them and God. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all it is. And so I pray for that.
Yeah.
because that has eternal ramifications. You know, you can get mad at me. You can get mad at me and not like something I say and separate yourself and do whatever you do, but don't separate yourself from the Father. You know what I mean? Because the spirit will work on your heart. You know what I mean? And so if they're saying they detaching all the way and they're like turning around completely and doing a 180, then you know, I'm grieved for them.
Right.
I grieve for that, and I pray for their restoration
Now,
or coming to faith in the first place.
yeah.
You know, I would say.
What I think is, I'll just say, my first thought was even worse than that is a person like Fanatic who pioneered, like
Yeah.
when I was
Mhm.
in high school, like, because my whole household was Christian, so no secular, none of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So when I was sneaking to watch Rap City,
Mhm.
I learned about grits. I learned about cross movement because their videos played.
Mhm.
And so I see a person like Fanatic and him being a part of that generation that kind of really pioneered and really influenced a lot of people. And and then now it's like, oh, I was really wrong. And so it's not I'm just turning my back. Now it's like now I'm on attack.
Mhm.
I'm going against you. So with that being said, are you gonna read Let
Mhm.
There Be Gaslight?
Probably.
Okay.
And that's just because I try to take an approach of not only listening to the voices that agree with me,
Mm,
um, or that align with my worldview, but also listening to the detractors.
okay.
Like I've read, I've read multiple books by atheists at like people who are doctors, have doctorate degrees, and they are either atheist or agnostic at the moment of their writings. And I read that material, books that lay out challenges to common Christian claims. I read those books uh, because I want to see, okay, what are the challenges to these things? Where does my disbelief connect with some of the struggles they're having? And where are the answers? Are there answers for them in the scriptures and or writings from others, people who make a living out of studying these things and communicating on these matters and then seeking out those resources to help fortify my own faith. So I'm more than likely going to read it. I'm not sure when. I have a couple other books ahead of it in my queue at the moment. So it probably won't be until next year that I get to it, but I definitely do plan on reading through it. And also just checking out whether you have podcasts or videos from different apologists that may talk about it. I want to hear what they're saying as well, but I want to take my time and read through it and develop my own thoughts about those things as well. And so something you want to always hear it from the direct source whenever you can,
Right.
and not make up your mind about something based upon somebody else's takeaway. So I like to try to hear out, if a Muslim has a claim against our faith and what the different tenets that we hold to at a foundational level, I go to the Muslim voice and I try to hear them say what they're saying and understand it, and then form what I believe and what I think in response to that thing. So yeah, man, definitely gonna read it.
Wow. What does it do to your faith when you hear about an apologist like Ravi
Mm-hmm.
that was so powerful? I mean, I learned more about the apologists maybe in the last 5 years or so than I had before,
Yeah.
and he was one of the main ones. But then after his passing, all this stuff comes out. Like,
Yeah.
what does that do for you and your faith in your life?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Um, and if it hurt, I would tell you that. Like in terms of like if it hurt my faith.
Right.
I was disappointed when things like that happen, just like I'm disappointed when a pastor down the street does something, and is found in sin, and the congregation has to respond to that in some way. And eldership has to, discipline the leaders. It's disappointing and it's grieving, but it doesn't shake my faith, because my faith is not built on the perfection of anybody but the Christ. And so it's not, so my faith itself is not going to be destroyed by someone else's behavior not aligning with the way that we should walk. Because if it were, then I wouldn't have any faith on the basis of my own shortcomings. Because I don't hold these people to any higher standard than I hold myself when it comes to how we should live our lives in service to the Lord, and wanting to walk in a manner worthy, as the apostle will put it. And so when I do hear all of these crazy things, I'm like, man, Lord, be with those families. I pray that, those families would not run away from you in response to his wickedness, and some things that he's done. But that you'll be with those families, be with his family even, because it has a devastating impact on him, but also allow the goodness from the work that he did, not to just be completely thrown away, because there are some things of value that he contributed as well, just as sure as King David contributed things of value, and yet had a man murdered so that he can take advantage and abuse his power to be with his wife, but he still wrote the Psalms. He still wrote the Psalms, though. He still was somebody after God's own heart. Somebody looked back and commented on in later years following his death as a reference point for faithfulness. He's still a part of the Hall of Faith that's ran down in the New Testament, right? Because why? Because his devotion, his faithfulness, wasn't completely removed based on his fallen humanity showing itself out. Now, those things were corrected. God rebuked him for it, and he suffered because of the evil things that he did. But it didn't all of a sudden invalidate the good aspects in the things that he brought to the table. So I try to approach, our current day context in the same way, that, like, hey, man, like, you could do 20 good things and you come out and I found out, wow, you was doing 20 terrible things too. You should be corrected. Yeah, if you broke the law, you need to go to prison for those 20 things that you did. I'm not going to say freed you. You need to go to prison for those things because you violated, and people's lives have been devastated on the account of the things that you've done that were wrong. But at the same time, I can still see and acknowledge those things were still good, though. Those things were still good that you contributed. So it doesn't really shake my faith, because my faith tells me that these things are going to happen. My faith tells me, scripture tells me that people are going to fall away from the faith. The scriptures tell me through so many stories throughout, from beginning to end, humans are fallen. Humans sin. All of them, even the ones that get looked at as an example. They could be that example and they still fall short, though. Yeah. That is the foundation of our faith in Christ, that we miss the mark and we are not the standard that he is. That's not a license for us to just go ahead and keep living in sin and be callous, towards the sin in our lives. No, we want to seek that sin out, attack it, and exercise it, get it on out of here by the power of the Spirit. But it's still knowing that, there's no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. Why? Because we're not accepted on our goodness. We're accepted on his goodness. And so I didn't accept God because of how good Ravi Zacharias is. I didn't accept God based on how great Kirk Franklin was. I didn't accept God based on how righteous my sister's mother-in-law was, who read me the scripture and told me about my sin. Right? I didn't accept him based on those things. So when those things fall apart, or those people in their walk fall short, like the scriptures say they will, my faith's not broken because of it, because it wasn't built on it. Right.
since you said Kurt. Was that line taken out of context?
No, I don't think it was taken out of context. I thought it was written wrong.
Okay.
And see, I think that both things can be true. Not both things can be true. I think that sometimes in an attempt to give him the benefit of the doubt, we'll act like nothing was wrong. Or in an attempt to communicate that there's something wrong, we fail to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I think that you can do both of those things at the same time. I think that you can say, oh, that's a terrible line. The line in Lamb bows to the goat it's a terrible line when it comes to and I'm not talking about artistically. I'm talking about, the criticism that he's getting is based on theology. I mean, why would you do that? Like, so I get that, but I don't think that it was his heart's intent to worship the bathroom.
I mean, he pointed up.
Right. Like, I just don't think that. I'm going to give the 40 years of, his career, some rope there to say, okay,
I think give him some grace, man. Like,
I think he misstepped.
You know, he didn't mean it like that.
I think he misstepped. Now, it's still on him to own it, and I ain't been following Kirk like that super, because I'm sure he spoke on it already, and I haven't listened to it, so I can't speak on that.
Right.
But just from what I've seen from Kirk, what I've heard from Kirk, the good and the bad, right, that I've seen from him, I don't think that it was his intention to say we're gonna, the Lord's gonna worship the Baphomet, right? Like, I don't think that's what he meant. But hey, on the chance that he is making that turn, guess what? We'll see it.
Right.
We'll see it. But I'm not gonna jump down that man's throat.
Yeah.
For that, just based on that. Now, I will jump down the BET Hip Hop Awards throat for putting Kirk Franklin in a position to be rapping anyway when you got literally thousands of people who rap with skill, that are Christians. Why are you putting Kirk Franklin? I ain't talking about me, who got 1,000 listeners on Spotify. I'm talking people with hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners on Spotify and millions of streams that are gifted and talented at what they do, that really in most of those cases, in those verses I heard on the BET Hip Hop Awards, they blow that stuff out the water. Why aren't they on that platform? What are you going to Kirk Franklin, who's a 60-year-old gospel artist, to rap for? Do you think
it's something like I ain't to say the politics of it, but the only time we seen Lecrae was up there when he was with Columbia Records. That was the only time. So if no one's with a major label, then it seems like they only have one or two go-tos, and that's always Kirk.
Yeah, they got to do better.
Yeah, they do
better, because I mean, you look at some of the ciphers. Some of the people that they put in some of the ciphers, they're not signed to majors. From a secular perspective, you know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of independent people that are on there. So have the same standard. Yeah. And and hey, if you're saying like, okay, this record label is saying we want to have a spot on this show, or they're willing to pay money for that spot, then respond to them and say, well, you're off brand. Send me something that's on brand, and then it's open to you. This is not the BET Awards. It's the Hip Hop Awards. Don't send me a not hip hop artist.
Right.
So flip that back and put it on them to make them responsible for cultivating in this lane, and then we can have a conversation about this spot. But until then, nah. But that's just me, though. Who am I? It's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. So look, man. Let's go to another round right now.
Yeah.
We got a game. How hip hop are you? So the game goes like this. It's 5 questions, 1 bonus question. Each question, of course, is 20 points. The bonus is 40 because most people do bad. I have a feeling that you're going to do good on this one.
I don't know.
But I had to kind of, I was doing them, and my wife was like, "Stop asking people hard questions they don't know," because a lot of people have done bad, and some people have done, good. But I think you'll do good. It's 30 seconds per question, so you got 30 seconds to respond. And I should have had my other phone with me so I can keep up with my time, but we'll start. So the first question is, what is the name of the Southern hip hop group Dirty's first album?
You say dirties?
Hmm.
No, I don't know that.
You don't?
I don't know that.
You're not even gonna try.
Nope. I know. I
Nope.
don't know it. I don't know it.
Okay. So, of course, that's incorrect. The name of that album was The Pimp and the Gangster. Now, I thought you might would have known that
That does sound familiar, actually.
because they were from South Carolina.
The name of the project does sound familiar. What year did that come out?
2001. And they had a song, hit the flow, here we is, boy. Come on, bro, you know that one, man. You
That
better hit the
sounds
flow. That joint was hard.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. It does.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar. And you said Dirties?
Yeah, the name of the album, the group was called Dirty.
Ah.
Yeah.
I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I do know. I do know. Yep.
Yeah.
They weren't around long though.
No. That was that one song, and then that was it.
Mm-hmm. I do. I can like hear it now.
Yeah.
Yep, I do. Yeah. I would have never thought, like, if it doesn't come back to me immediately, like we'll have to talk about it and then maybe it'll jog something. So my memory is jogged, but I don't get
okay. All right. Question number 2. Name the members of the Cross Movement.
Okay. We got the Tonic John Wells, the Ambassador, True Life. You got Fanatic. Because they had so many other people involved. So was Enoch a part of the group officially? I don't think so. I think he was just like an affiliate though. But it's always those 4: Ambassador, True Life, Wells, and Fanatic, or what I refer to as the core 4 or core 5.
All right, time's up.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So,
what am I missing?
Cruz Cordero.
Oh,
Fanatic.
My bad, Cruz. I knew that too.
Ambassador, True Life, The Tonic, Enoch, and Earthquake.
Yeah. Earthquake and Enoch are like at the back of my mind, but I definitely knew Cruz, and I'm mad I didn't recall his name.
All right, that's 2. You down 2. You got to get some points on the board.
Yeah, and I didn't get that one. That's bad.
I really thought you had that one. All right. Question number 3. It's not a question. It's finish the line.
Okay.
I wish I had a brand new car. So far, I got this hatchback. Finish the line.
I got nothing on that one either.
Just come on, man. You can try to think. You got this. You got 20 more seconds. I wish I had a brand new car. So far, I got this hatchback. Nothing. Time is up. Alright. The next line is, and everywhere I go, I get laughed at. And when I'm in my car, I'm laid back. from Skilo.
Yeah,
What's
yeah. I can hear the melody. Like,
Oh, you so okay?
I wish I had a brand new car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear that part, but I don't remember the end of the
line. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm batting at 0. So
Logic, we need something, man. We need something. So somebody's watching this and be like, "Come on, bruh." All right. Question number 4. What Christian hip hop group has an album named Factors of the Seven?
I know it's a older one. And how many guesses do I get?
However you mean, you got 30 seconds. Just let me know what your final answer is right now. You got 15 seconds left.
Factors of the 7. Tunnel Rats? Grits? Gospel Gangsters? It's something older. But I can't put my finger on.
All right, time's up. All right, so do you have a final answer? I heard it in there. And one of the ones you said is it. So what's your final answer?
Tunnel Rats.
Grits.
Grits.
Yes.
Grits. Yeah, I didn't listen to Grits, but
Okay.
I started like looking over the groups. Like, I would look into these things.
Right.
And I've read that title before, but I haven't heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I knew it was an older group though, because if it was a newer group, I would have known it. Like a newer meaning post 2008, I would have known it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And when I did the first interview, right? I was like, I think some of these questions are gonna be too hard because he's not as old as I thought he was. I mean, 35 still is up here because I'm like, yeah, you should know that, but once you explain like your influences, I was like, okay, he might have some issues.
Yeah.
Because I actually changed a couple questions to try to. Well, okay. Question number 5. Question number 5.
I need one. Come on. Hit me right.
Hey man, I believe in you, man. What artist is featured on Pleased by the Truth?
Jay Johnson. Jay Silas.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Depending on where it's from, I'll be able to recall it pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah. Good. 20 points on the board. All right, man. Look, see, that's why this one was 45 points. They make it look a little bit better.
Yeah.
The bonus. I don't think you're gonna get it, honestly. But I hope you do. Name the artist that DJ'd for Curtis Blow that became a part of a supergroup.
DJ.
He DJ'd for Curtis Blow and became a part of the supergroup.
It's not Eric B, is it? No. DJ? I don't know. No Curtis Blow. That's terrible.
Yeah. Reverend Curtis Blow might get you, bro.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's terrible.
Rev Run. DJ Run.
DJ Run. Yeah. Yep. Nope.
Man.
I didn't even know Run was his DJ.
Yes.
Yeah. So
20 points for you. But it's okay, man.
I take my 20 points of shame, bro.
It's okay. We're not gonna look down on you. Not right here. I might look down on you a little bit later. But not right here. Say no, man. I appreciate you playing, man. It's always a fun game, man.
Yeah.
Fun. jogging and trying to figure out a few things, man. And so I don't want to hold you long, man. I got a couple more things to ask, and
Yeah, go for
then
it.
we're done. So one of the no fluff original questions is if you could describe hip hop with the one song, you press play and you say this is what hip hop is. What would that one song be?
Man. I think there's several of them I could do that with. But I would probably, the song that I'm going to choose is probably because I feel like in its best representation, hip hop shows technical ability, like an ability to rhyme, just flowing and rhyming with music that connects to you and invokes an emotion, you know. And so I think that amongst a lot of songs, one of them would be Dear Mama by Tupac. Because Tupac was like, even though you were a crack fiend, mama, and you feel that joint, and your mama wasn't a crack fiend.
Right.
But you felt him though, because you understood you understood what he was what he was getting at.
Right.
And I never really heard somebody hear Dear Mama and say, oh, that's trash.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I feel like that's one of the songs that I would point to. And I think that I probably would pick like 5 songs that show different things.
Let's hear them. Let's hear them.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I could pull out a lot of them, but I think if you went to New York State of Mind by Nas, if you went to, I already said Dear Mama by Tupac. If you went to if you went to like 50 Cent's I Get Money, for example. Or and if not that one of his more, more grimy songs like Many Men. To show like a different side of things there.
Right.
I think that you could play, no, I can't say that song. Hollywood put like Eminem in there, Stan, for like, storytelling in a different way. Right. Because I feel like Nas's whole album was Illmatic was like he's introducing you into something which is cinematic and storytelling-esque. But Stan was very like deliberate in telling a story, like deliberately including a plot twist. You know what I'm saying? Inside of a song, and I'm taking you on this journey. And so you see that type of like actual writing ability.
Yeah.
So
I think those are good.
Something from, and then because there's so many different types of this thing, because then you got like your Lil Wayne's, but I would say they're a tree. So I consider like Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and Drake a part of the same tree. Because in a lot of ways, how like what they rapped about and their approach to rapping about things, a lot of times it's not like on one topic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you listen to a lot of, Jay-Z stuff from the Blueprint to the Black Album, especially, like it's not a whole lot of like one topic. I'm sticking on this topic,
right,
and telling you this story. Like it's very, braggadocious and whatever bars come to mind that relates to this mood that I'm feeling. I'm giving you off of it. And Lil Wayne's very much like that. Like especially like post Squad Wayne.
Right.
And you'll see some of the things in there from Wayne that he will take a topic, like Carter 3, he has some joints in there. I Miss My Dogs, Carter 1. But those are like sprinkled in, in between the mob and, Fireman and random stuff where he's just rapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like literally like just rapping to rap and to show that he's good at rapping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think Drake is an evolution of that though, because Drake takes it and kind of pulls it in.
Hold up. I don't mean to stop your thought. Because
Yeah.
now if I'm campaigning,
Yeah.
I'm campaigning that Drake is not a rapper. So like you keep bringing up Drake, man, and it's offending me, bro.
Nah, bro. You can't
He
take
can
that,
rap.
bro.
He can
You
rap.
can't. Don't do that, bro. You
He
can't
can
take
rap.
it.
But he gonna sing you to death too.
That's okay. I might sing you to death too, but I can rap though.
No, man, you're not gonna sing the whole album, man. Like if I go to play Jeremiah Bligen, and your opening track is I don't want to hear it. I'm done.
That's that one album though. But
no, man, he always singing to me, man.
So when 3 Stacks gets on Hey Y'all,
one song,
right? 3 Stacks do Hey Y'all, and that's like probably his personal biggest song ever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's basically just him being a rock and roll singer, singing. That don't take away from the fact that he's absolutely an incredible MC.
Yes, but okay.
He's not just
hey, you press. I'm trying to get you to end this because you can enjoy your birthday, but you pressing, bro.
Oh, let's talk.
I'm gonna take some hot takes. Cause even when people put 3 Stacks in the top 5, I'm like,
no, I'm not with that. Yeah, okay. I'm not one of those people. I don't. Okay. It's not right. You can't. You can argue Outkast in the top 5 if you want to, but I don't allow 3 Stacks top 5 in my conversation because you can't. Not to me anyway.
Okay.
So I'm with you on that part. But when it comes to Drake, like I've listened to Drake's projects. I'm not like a Drake connoisseur. I'm not a connoisseur of any of these people, but I listen to them to understand what they're doing, to understand what's out there, what our people are consuming, and to be knowledgeable. But as somebody who's listened to all of those, man, you can't listen to all of Drake's album and say he's not a rapper. I think you can listen to Drake's album and say he's not just a rapper.
I listened to his. I've listened to some of his albums, and I said Drake can really rap when he raps, but I don't want to hear this other stuff.
And that's okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Drake should be compared to Chris Brown because Chris Brown sings to girls and stuff like that. I mean, he's not lonely and sad and disappointed that they broke up, but he can rap as well. Yeah, I don't think Drake needs to be compared to a J. Cole, or Kendrick, or anybody.
Don't do that, bro.
No, just leave him out there.
Chris Brown and Drake.
Yes, man, because they both sing,
bro. No, they both
sing. Hey,
they both sing, but Drake's dominant thing that he's done, and I'm talking about in totality, is rapping, and he sings too. So if you think about just songwriting, right? If you have 48 bars in a song, Drake is going to rap historically, not like last week. He's going to rap for about 36 of those bars.
Oh, I thought you said sing, my bad. He's
going to rap anywhere from 50 to 75% of it. And he'll sing 50 to 25% of it.
Jeremiah, don't do this to me, man.
Historically.
Don't do this to me. Historically. Hey, look, listen. I'm going to take you back to 1998. This artist, he said, and 99% of your fans wear high heels. That's Drake, man. Drake's core audience is women.
That's okay. But 99% of Cool J's fans might have been high heels, but he was rapping to them.
Yes, rapping. He's a rapper, man.
And on top of that, you kind of kill off Mama Said Knock You Out, Cool J. He wasn't rapping for females then.
Right.
So and that's one of the things about longevity. People oftentimes limit you to whatever your most recent season was. But when you look at all of it from top to bottom, from first song, first project, from what is it, So Far Gone to this Nevermind album, whatever. I haven't even listened to that whole album. But When you do from So Far Gone, and not including mixtapes, but just from that one, even though it wasn't mixtape, but it's kind of
Right.
EP now. Like start from that, go into the beginning. You can consider the whole body of work, and you do up the percentages. He's definitely a rapper.
Okay.
He's a rapper that sings. He's an
Okay.
artist. He's an artist. That's what I would say. He's an artist, just like
He
how
is. I agree with that.
Kanye. Kanye's an artist.
That's right.
You see what I mean? Like it's not just one thing that not Nas is a rapper.
Right.
You see that Nas is a rapper or MC or however you want to characterize it. Nas is a rapper and MC. Jay-Z is a rapper, MC.
Right.
He's not integrating, a lot of those things into what they do. But what is Ja Rule? I know you're tired of being lonely, right?
Right.
But he's also full of energy, like a little bee, like rapping too in the same breath.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what is 50 Cent? I'll take you to the game. Like, I asked you 21 questions, and he's writing that stuff too, right? So, but 50 was a rapper, but he's also doing other things too, and I think you see that throughout the history of hip hop. More so, of course, I think post 98.
Yeah.
Post 98, you see more of that.
But I was more so just referencing like Drake's main fans are women because he sings.
I don't know, bro. I don't know about that. I think that his most of his fans are females because of the stuff he says too when he does rap. Like when you what is your song? I'm not like I said, not a super connoisseur, but it was a single when he did like the mixture with the New Orleans culture. Nice for What? Is that the name of it?
I'm not sure.
It was the one with the city girl on it, I think. I think it was Nice for What or whatever.
Oh, maybe.
But like you can see, like he's like rappy singing. You know what I mean? Like, is Lil Baby a rapper?
Yeah.
So Lil Baby is a rapper, even though every song you've ever heard him on is melodic.
Like melodic is different.
Every song. Every song. But he's a rapper. But Drake's not a rapper. Even though he's rapping straight voice like me.
Album. He put out a dance album, bro.
That's all right. I don't think
I'm not saying it's not all right. I'm just saying. Look, here's really what I'm saying. Drake just should not be in the rapper conversation. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's not a great artist. I'm not saying that he doesn't rap. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he should be left out of rapper conversations.
Oh no,
that's
bro.
All I'm saying.
I give you that if you were appealing on the basis of ghostwriting. If you were saying because we think Drake had people writing his raps, then okay. Just like how Diddy's not a part of this rapper conversation and Kanye's not a part of the rapper conversation because people write, and Dre is not a part of because they're producers who get people to help them write raps. I'd say, okay, I'll give you that, even though I think that Drake has a great pen and he's written. But if you want to say because of that one element, he's disqualified from being at the top of that list as a rapper, I would say, okay, cool. But I think you can make any type of music you want to, and it doesn't erase that you are something else too. Like if I make 5 albums that's nothing but rap, and then I make one R&B album where I'm not rapping at all and I'm just singing, it doesn't mean I'm not a rapper.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? Like Chris Brown's finna release it. Doesn't he have a rap album or something like that? That doesn't mean Chris Brown's not a pop artist or an R&B pop artist. It just means that he's stretching himself and doing that. Brandy's done the same thing. And Brandy's a singer. Brandy's a traditional R&B singer, but she also want to be B-Rocka and rap.
Right.
That does not mean she's not a R&B artist or a singer. It just means that she's not just that.
Right.
She also has other talents that she wants to express, other ways that she wants to express her artistic nature and her ability to write as well.
Yeah.
And so that's just how I see it. But I get it for the heads, right? Like I get it. Like just like, nah, son. Like I do. I understand it, man. But it's like, yeah, I think you can be multifaceted and you can do a lot of different things. And doing Y doesn't mean that you never did A through J. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you can take all of it to paint the full picture, you know what I mean, as an artist, and give people the creative freedom and a license to do all of those things. Because you might hear an album from me where I'm not rapping at all. You're going to hear an album from me that's literally just about relationships and my wife. You know, like I've had like songs about that before, but you're hearing a whole album, maybe plural, like that from me. But that doesn't mean I'm not a rapper. You know what I mean? It just means that I'm not just a rapper.
Okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with just being a rapper. That's dope, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. But it ain't nothing wrong with the inverse either.
Yeah. I agree.
That's all I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And look, so also another no fluff TV original. I don't ask for top fives. I ask for your starting 5 rounds. Meaning these 5 can go up against any other 5.
Mm-hmm.
Who are your top or your starting 5?
I'd start with Nas, Jay-Z, and Eminem. And then I throw in go up against. You mean like in terms of making a project or just like rapping ability?
Rapping ability.
Okay, just rapping ability. Okay.
Oh, you know what? You're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not just rapping ability, but any kind of way, whether it's rapping ability, projects, anything that has to do with the skill, the talent, the storytelling, the wordplay, anything that.
Yeah, that's my top 3. Now my top 3 is Nas, Jay-Z, and Eminem when it comes to this roster. But I probably add in. This is hard, bro. I want to say Tech 9, but I'm trying to think about that long and hard. Lauryn Hill, I add. She gets the 4th spot. And number 5. That's terrible, man. I gotta commit though.
It's just one more.
Exactly.
You can do it.
That's a lot of people. I can't say I see like I try when it comes to stuff like this, I think about it in trees, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier. So like when I say Nas, I'm not gonna say Rakim, even though I mess with Rakim's music heavy. Like, and so I'm not gonna say him at 5, but it's respect to him when I choose Nas too. But I throw in somebody new for number 5. And so I'd probably say Kendrick. I'd throw Kendrick in the 5 because I think that gives me a good versatile kind of group where I can handle a lot of different things, you know, from the aspect of ability, talent, discography, you know, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that.
Okay. Last thing. Flowers. Who would you like to give some flowers to? Some thank you, some salutes to, appreciation to?
Oh man, I try to make a habit out of giving people flowers, man, and bigging up people and shouting them out when they do something that's of value that I've taken something from.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people, man. I would say as a whole, let me big up my wife first and foremost. Like she let me do this this interview midday, holding the fort down. But in terms of music, generally speaking, I would say that all of the Christians out there, man, who have endeavored to rap, you know, from top to bottom, over the years, I have benefited from people deciding not to make certain styles of music in favor of making music that speaks to your soul, you know, in different ways. People like Jafia Life, salute to Jafia Life, in Bizzle and Dre Murray, who have always had a different approach to what they do that may not have been considered, you know, mainline, you know, gospel, Christian, invite me to your youth group type thing, you know, but more dark or more secular, some people would say, even with some of Jafia's stuff. But um so artists like that, you know, to artists like Trip Lee and, you know, Stephen the Levite and artists on Lamp Mode like SO, who have made it a point to be, you know, centered around theology for a lot of their music, even though not they've expanded, you know, over the last 5 to 10 years. You know, to Bizzo and the whole God Over Money team, and, you know, people like Selah the Corner and Jerry Sanders and all of the brothers that I've worked with directly in the past, you know, like your Threes and your Tone Spains, your Shans, like all of these people, man, have been a benefit to me, being able to press play on their music. To some of the new cats, you know, that are out there, you know, that are up and coming, like a Q Flow, a dude named Q Flow, who's from Philadelphia, you know, Derek Minor and his whole team and what he's put together with Doc over there with Amplify and RMG. To really, it's a big up and a salute to the whole community, because you know it's a thankless thing sometimes. You get ignored and people, you know, act like you're not doing what you're doing, or act like you're not getting down, you know what I'm saying, or rapping because of what you're rapping about. But these brothers have and sisters, you know, from, you know, Jackie to AI the Anomaly, you know, so many people that's out there that's working to honor God with what they say out of their mouth over records, not just acknowledging them and shouting them out after they've achieved something, but endeavoring to make what they achieve about him, you know, making him the accomplishment, like knowing him and being with him and walking with him in their lives and on their music. So salute to that, to the whole Christian, you know, rap community, Christian hip hop community, Christians who rap, who partake, who seek to build, you know, media and manage and develop shows and tours and do the grunt work, the work that's not, you know, popular, not up on the stage, people who put the stage there and put the stage together, but not getting on the stage to be seen, you know. I give the flowers to those people as well. And so yeah, man, it's a big salute to everybody who's out doing it. That has been a huge benefit to me. And I mean that, bro. Like I can go on and on, like Taylor Gray and Armand Wake Up. Like there's so many people, bro, that like I listen to these people. They're in my phone, you know what I mean? Like that I really respect and I rock with, you know. So salute to everybody.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. You know, tell you what, I try to get you all ready, but you down with Drake anyway now.
It ain't even it ain't even about Drake. So I want people to leave here thinking that I'm big Drake capo, like I'm out here caping for Drake. It don't matter who it is. It's more about the principle.
Yeah.
For me, you know what I mean, and why I'm bearing in on that a little bit. But I appreciate it, bro, and it's good to talk rap and talk music, talk life. Man. So thank you for having me on the platform, bro.
Yes, sir. And make sure you subscribe, Follow us on the page, man. Make sure you check out Jeremiah's new single, "Gone," featuring Drake and Maxi Bond. His album is coming soon. Apparently, he has an R&B and album coming soon. So don't y'all, believers start listening to him because he's starting to sing to his wife. He might have, songs about love making, and y'all get messed up. Y'all don't want to hear it, but you listen to Tank.
Right.
So don't do that. Don't
Right.
do that. Once again, man, I appreciate you, man, and enjoy your day.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Same to you, bro. Salute.
Speaking on the 919, your career to the side. Cack-a-cack-cack-cack-a-cack-a-lacky style. Cack-cack-cack-cack-cack-a-cack-a-lacky style. Cack-cack-cack-cack.